Hello and welcome. My name's Joanna and today I'm going to show you how to make these cute little quilt as you go hexagon mats. They make ideal mats to put your cup and saucer on or a teapot. But if you're feeling very adventurous, you can join lots of them together to make a quilt. Or a little bit less ambitious and you could make a table runner. Anyway, let's get started. For this project, you will need some scraps offcuts of fabric. I used a plain colour for the back and a print for the front. I mean, you can do whatever you like, whatever scraps you've got. You can have floral on both sides or you could even have plain on both sides. But a nice mixture of colours of cotton quilting fabric. And you will also need some scraps of batting. This is a good project to use up some of your smaller pieces, although I don't have many very small pieces, but pieces like these would be ideal. You will also need some hexagon templates. I have these two, which are 2.5, no they're not, sorry, they're 1.5 and 2 inches. I just happen to have them. If you don't have any templates, then you can print off some hexagon templates from the internet. I got these off at Etsy actually, and I think I paid something like £3 for them, and I've got lots of different sizes. These ones here I printed off, but you have to be very careful because they said they were 1.5 inch and 2 inch, but they're not. When you measure these hexagons, you're measuring the sides, so it's the side measurement that you want, not from top to bottom, but just one of the sides. So the sides all need to be 2 inches or 1.5. Once you've printed off these templates, you can cut them out, and you could even cut them out from cardboard, so you've got something you can draw around. It's up to you. And then to cut them out, you will need scissors, or you can have a cutting mat and a rotary cutter. I actually think that cutting out hexagons is easier with scissors. Draw around your hexagon and then cut out with scissors. But if you prefer, you can use a cutting mat and a rotary cutter. Then for sewing, you're going to need a small pair of scissors just to cut off your ends, etc. And then you will need either clips or pins. Pins, you can use just pins. If you want to use clips, they're not good for pinning in the middle of your hexagon, obviously, so you might need both. And then some thread. From your scraps of batting, cut out 7 hexagons on the smaller size of hexagons. So you need 7 of the smaller size, and these are all cut out of batting, 1 for the centre and 6 to go around the edge. And next you'll need to cut 7 of the larger hexagons. This is the backing fabric. I've cut these all from the same fabric, but they don't have to be. Now cut out 7 of the small hexagons out of fabric. I've used actually 3 different types of fabric, so I've cut 3 of this darker fabric and then another 3 of the lighter fabric, and then for the centerpiece I've got a plain piece of cream fabric. Now take 1 piece of backing fabric, 1 front fabric and 1 piece of batting, and then I fold them in half and fold them in half again to find the centre. I'm just trimming off a little bit of the batting here because we want the batting to be nice and level with our front piece of fabric. Okay, and then turn your backing piece over so you want your right side facing down, and then put both the batting and the top fabric over the top of your backing fabric and match up your lines. And then I like to put a pin in the centre and then just check that it's in the centre on the back and then pin in place. Now starting at the top, fold over the backing fabric by about 1/4 of an inch, or to almost meet the inner fabric, and then roll over so it covers up your centre fabric and clip in place. Then miss the next one and go on to the next side, do exactly the same, fold under just under 1/4 of an inch, and then fold over again to enclose your front piece of fabric, and then miss one and go on to the next one, fold over 1/4 of an inch or just under 1/4 of an inch, and then fold over again to enclose the inner piece of fabric, and then clip or pin in place. Now you can do the other 3 sides, starting at the top, fold over, and then fold over again. And as we're doing these 3 sides, we need to check that these corners match up nicely, and we've got nice mitered corners as so. Clip or pin in place and move round to the next side and do exactly the same. Now you can start sewing your backing and your front pieces together. I've started in the middle there, look, I'm going to push my needle through and then come out on the backing fabric, and I'm going to pull my knot through so that my knot will be hidden in the centre. So give it a bit of a tug. That was a little bit hard, I've probably done a bigger knot than I needed to. Anyway, pull it through, there we go, it's popped through. Okay, now I'm going to pull it back a little bit, cut off the end, and then pull it through again, and that knot will be hidden somewhere in between the batting and the front fabric. So take a little bit of the front fabric and a little bit of the backing fabric, and then a little bit of the front, a little bit of the backing, and keep going until you get to the mitered corner. It's a little bit tricky with all the clips on, and when I'm not filming I normally actually turn it the other way round so that the thread doesn't get caught on the clips. It's a bit difficult when you're filming. So carry on sewing all the way till you get to the corner. When you get to the corner, that very last corner stitch, before you start going up the mitered corner, you need to make sure that you actually get both sides of the backing, the batting and the front in that one stitch, and then you're going to sew up the mitered corner probably a couple of stitches, and then when you get to the top, the last little stitch, and then you're just going to turn round and thread your needle back through to the bottom, ready to start on the next side. And then carry on in this manner, sewing all the way around until you get back to where you started from, remembering to go up each of the mitered corners when you reach it. Notch your thread when you get to the end, and then bury the tail ends inside the wadding, batting, whatever you'd like to call it, and then pull it tight and cut the end off, and it should disappear and you shouldn't be able to see that tail end anymore. The next job is to do the quilting, and to do this I'm going to draw a line around the edges of my hexagon, about 1/4 of an inch, and then I'm just going to do a running stitch. So mark each side just so you can do a nice straight line. If you don't need to do this and you think you can do it nice and straight without doing this, then go ahead, but I need the nice straight lines in order for me to sew a straight line. And this pen is a heat erasable pen, so When I've finished, I can give it a quick iron and the lines will disappear. I'm using a contrasting colour embroidery thread, and I'm using 2 strands of embroidery thread, and I'm just going to pull the knot through as I did before. Give it a good tug and get the knot between the batting and the first layer of cotton fabric, and then cut the end off, pull it tight, and the tail end will disappear inside and nobody will ever see that. So following the lines that I've drawn, I'm just going to do a simple running stitch all the way around all of my hexagons. On this light colour I'm using a brown, and on the darker coloured ones I'm using a cream embroidery thread. And when you get back to where you started, tie a knot in your thread and bury the tail end in between the batting and the top fabric. Pull tight and then cut the end off. When you have assembled all 7 of your hexagons, it's time to join them together. Now we're going to join them together. So tie a knot in your thread and take your first 2 hexagons that you're going to join together, and then either pin or clip together. I like to push my needle in a little bit away from where I'm going to start and push it back to where I'm going to start, so that my knot will be hidden, hopefully, within the seam, and then cut the tail end. Alternatively, you could bury your knot within the fabric like I did previously. It's up to you. Then to start sewing, I like to do my first stitch and then thread my needle back through the loop to make a knot, to make sure that it's nice and secure before I start sewing. And then I'm going to use a ladder stitch to sew these pieces together. And then we're all ready to go. And to do the ladder stitch, you're going to start on the right hand side and you're going to do a horizontal stitch along the seam. So take a small little bit of fabric and do a stitch horizontally, then go directly across to the other side and do another small stitch horizontally, and then go back directly opposite on the opposite side and take another small stitch, taking a tiny little piece of the fabric back over exactly in line on the other side and do another small stitch, and keep taking horizontal stitches from one side to the other, and you'll end up with what looks like a ladder going from side to side. And then when you get a fair few stitches lined up, if you pull your thread, and then all these little ladder rungs will disappear when you pull it tight. And you see, and if we give it a bit of a tug, then all those stitches will disappear and you won't be able to see them at all. And then carry on doing exactly the same all the way to the end, where you'll tie a knot at the end again. It doesn't matter which order you sew them together in, you can just do whichever suits you, but you've got to remember to keep the centre piece in the centre, and in the way that I'm doing it, I'm doing one dark, one light, but I don't think there is a right way to sew them together. It's entirely up to you which way you do it. these are what you end up with. You can either join lots of them together to make a large quilt, or you can use them just as they are. They make great coasters or a mat to put your teapot on.